Good evening. The opinions and statements voiced by our guests do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this network. Enjoy the shows.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
We've been expecting you.
Monday, time for our maven of the supernatural, Denise Pridemore. This is the Paranormal Pride. Join to listen and chat live on WBHM-DB.com or Spreaker app. Search WBHM-DB every Monday at 7 p.m. Central for your supernatural paranormal fix. Welcome to the Paranormal Pride, where the show is about the guest and the listener.
Welcome to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore. And tonight my guest is my friend Cassy Pennington from Prison Town Paranormal. And I thought it would be nice to have on a guest that is one of the newer paranormal investigators out there and to give us a different perspective on the paranormal. Because, you know, a lot of times we have on people that have been in the paranormal for 20, 30 years. They're on TV. All that stuff. So in this case, I want to talk to somebody who's got a different perspective on things for a change. And Cassy, that's you.
Yes, I'm glad to be here, Denise.
So we're going to start out with some basic questions for you. I know this is your very first radio show, and I know it's been fun for me every time I got to be on one. My very first one happened to be on a network that Kat and I were on together at one time. So it's been fun for me to get to talk to people. So, and those of you in chat that are waiting for Kat, she will be there as soon as she can. She's having some technical difficulty on her end. So she's not ignoring you. She's not dissing you at all. She's just having some issues today. We're having a Monday. So just keep that in mind. So Cassy, what brought you to the paranormal?
My sister, her and a group of friends used to all go to Atchison every Halloween time, and they have the trolley tour there in Atchison. Did it one time, and it was not fun. It was kind of horrible, and so they just kind of took it upon themselves to start going to these places themselves and learning about them, and it just kind of awoken, I guess, a desire in me to join them, and I finally got invited. And had a great time, and it kind of became an annual thing, and now it's just evolved into, hey, we know these other people who are into paranormal, and then it evolved into a team, and now we're Prison Town Paranormal.
So, so when you did that first trolley tour, how long ago was that?
Oh, let's see, at least over 12 years ago, probably.
Oh, okay. So it was the recorder and a lady that said, "Ooh, this scares me," and things like that.
And they didn't stop for very long. And yeah, it was bad recording. And
yes, yeah. I know. I went on one of those tours too, and in my case, my tour was just to go and see the locations that were in the book that was written by the Atchison Chamber of Commerce. And I had no clue what I had gotten myself into. Because for those of you who don't know, that's how Cassy met me, was Atchison and the Sally House.
I did, yep.
And I think she was amazed at the truth in the paranormal, because when you go to some of those places, you don't get the truth.
I appreciated your truth too.
Well, it's just the way that it is. I mean, I can tell you truths now that back then I had no clue until the filming of the movie The Deep Darkness. In fact, some of the stuff I found out just after, like the story of the real first cemetery in Atchison.
Oh, wow.
Not where they say it was.
Oh.
Never any bodies moved from that location.
Something built on it now?
Oh yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. The Eva C. Cray was not the first graveyard in Atchison.
Yeah.
So, but again, things that I found out afterwards really irritated me. But it is what it is. I was asked a question last night about, and you heard it, which town is more haunted, Alton or Atchison?
Yeah.
And I don't, it's kind of hard to say. But, I actually think that the town you live in, Leavenworth, is more haunted than Atchison.
There's a lot of supposed haunted locations, and our team's been lucky to be invited to investigate a couple of places, and we've had some experiences in them. And
well, like I said, there's a lot of places in Leavenworth that are haunted that the town just kind of poo-poos on the hauntedness of Leavenworth. And most people don't know that Leavenworth has been around a lot longer than the state of Kansas.
Yeah.
It's been around since 1836. Yeah. And that's a long time. And just the fact that Leavenworth has an underground, which people had no clue about, and still don't. A lot of people still have no clue. And my friend, the lady I had on my show, Shay, that I had on back a while ago, Shay Moyers, she does the underground tours for the Candle Queen.
Yeah.
And I was asked to interview for that position at one time.
Oh, what happened?
I was doing the Sally House.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I used to work in one of those old buildings downtown that had the underground. It's now an estate. It used to be a title company that I worked at. And I remember asking my grandpa, like, what's the story with the underground? He told me I didn't need to know about it. And we didn't talk about it ever again. So I really wish I knew more about it. But
there is a video from PBS that's available online about it. It's called Plains Spirits, Plains Spirits. And it was done by PBS. And the one part of it talks about the tunnels in Leavenworth. And the next part talks about another place that we used to do tours, the Peppermill Restaurant, AKA used to be the River House.
Used to be a brothel.
Yes, I have the whole history. I know the whole history of the place. Yeah. And remember I talked last night about a location that the doctor thought I had a heart attack from?
Yes.
That was it.
Yeah.
And is long story. And Lulu's, it was on my ghost story, Lulu Spirits. And those of you who know me know my first name is Lula. And every time I walked in the building, we had something. I just had to walk in the building, and we had something would happen. And that is on the location of the first building in the city of Atchison.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. But
again, like I said, I can tell you stories about probably 50 buildings in that town.
The old Peppermill building is one I definitely like to get in. And my husband grew up in Atchison, and he's not very well versed in all these places. So,
well, I tried to get the Peppermill in the movie The Deep Darkness because of its dark history with Madame Lulu and the other things that went on there as well. The Native American woman that was drug outside and hung across the street at MGP. It wasn't MGP then, but but there's not a lot of history on that, but that's another long story. But Mr. Pickman, not Tony Pickman, but part of his family, when I contacted him, they declined to have it as be part of the movie.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. But even though Deb and Tony are part of the movie.
Oh.
Yeah. So
when is this the Deep Darkness that you're talking about?
Yeah.
When's it due to come out? Do you know?
It should have already come out, but they got hit with a tornado or a hurricane, and then a hurricane, and then health problems from everybody that was in the movie got hit with health problems.
Oh,
except for Ron.
Lucky Ron.
Yeah, but he had to deal with me.
He had to take care of you. So.
Yeah. So we're waiting to hear. Even the camera guy that's supposed to do the backup filming, you may know him, Steve Hayes. He's had some issues as well. He helped do some of the filming.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's supposed to get with me. We're supposed to finish the last part of the filming, and he hasn't contacted me. So it's like, okay. I can only sit around and wait. But what's funny is that anybody related to the city of Atchison will not talk to them. It's like they've been given a gag order not to speak.
That's really weird.
But and there may not be a problem now that the tourism director is no longer active there.
Yeah. That's a topic during the week to talk about.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, I don't want to talk about that online. That's not appropriate. So if I'm going to talk about stuff that's not appropriate, let's make it something that everybody wants to hear about. So anybody that has any questions for Cassy, please put them in chat, or you can send them to me through my Facebook Messenger, or you can send them through the Spreaker chat. There's 2 chats out there, and send them to me, and I will make sure that I ask them. But so are your children involved in the paranormal?
They are interested in it, and about the extent that I'll let them be involved is at cemeteries. I have taken them into the McIntyre Villa in Atchison, but for like a half an hour tour. Friends with the owner, and she has let us go through it a couple of times with the girls. They are interested in it. I keep telling them, maybe when you're 16 or 17, we can talk more about it. But right now, I'm very apprehensive about exposing them to it, just because of my own worries about, are they protected?
I understand. I know when we went to the Sally house the first time as guests, Leah was about 12, and she thought it was interesting at the time, and all we knew was TV and the book. We did not know everything. It's kind of like when you walked in the door, it's like, this doesn't look like the thing on a haunting, the house on a haunting. Of course you probably did the same thing, and you're going, this doesn't look right. I don't know if you came in there before or after it was on Ghost Adventures, but when I think about when I went in there the first time, not like 9 years ago now, to me it was like looking around and going, well, this looks nothing like that. And of course, I at that time did not have all the research under my belt that I have now, and was going, well, this story says that this doctor had an affair, and this story says that it was the town saying that it was this. So which story should I believe? Should I believe the people on TV, or should I believe the town? And it was like, and at the time, I guess I believed the town, because it's like, why should they lie?
Exactly.
And
it's all embellished, and most of it's embellished, and I mean, they got the names right. Dr.
Well, yeah. Well, that's because there was 2 of them. How could they screw that up? Yeah. But are there other places that you've been where it's been embellished like that?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think the Sally house may be the only place that I've been, and honestly, I've only been in the Sally house one time, and nothing happened. I got bronchitis. That's about the scariest thing that happened. That absolutely nothing happened while we were in there. And you have no desire to go back there.
Well, I know why you don't have a desire to go back there. But your desire to not go back there is because of the desire, because I know you know what I know about the house and stuff like that. Yeah. But I want to talk to you when we come back from the break about the McIntyre Villa a little bit, because I know that I was asked some questions last night, and all I can talk about is drive-bys and the movie. That's the only thing I can talk about. So we're going to talk a little bit about that when we come back, because like I said, I know that you have an extensive knowledge about the location. But everyone, you're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. We'll be back with Cassy Pennington, and we'll be talking about the McIntyre Villa when we come back.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... Nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
To the believer, the evidence is overwhelming. To the skeptic, there will never be enough. Hello everyone. Join Kevin and Jennifer Malik, the host of Paraversal Universe, every Friday here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting. Also heard on WCET FM and The Rift. Log on or tune in as they check out the mysteries found within the 8 categories of the unknown and unexplained, including ghosts and haunted places, aliens and UFOs, theology and mythology, cryptids and monsters, urban legends and folklore, conspiracies, metaphysics, and forbidden archaeology. Listen as Kevin and Jennifer interview the top minds in their respective fields as they share theories and information regarding these unsolved mysteries. For future show and archive information, one can find Paraversal Universe on Facebook, Twitter, and MeWe under various Paraversal Universe headings. So, for excellent talk radio about the unknown and unexplained, check out Paraversal Universe, where all paranormal perspectives apply. Brought to you by the Northern Wisconsin Paranormal Society, Ltd., and produced by WBHM-DB.com.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 23 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. And my guest tonight is Cassy Pennington. And she is with Prison Town Paranormal. And if you didn't know, the reason that it's called Prison Town Paranormal is because she lives in Lansing, Leavenworth area. And how many prisons are there?
7, I think, including Fort Leavenworth. There's a lot.
Yeah, and some of them are maximum security. Yeah. So Fort Leavenworth is a federal prison, and it is one of the neatest buildings you ever want to see. You can drive by and see the buffalo.
It is a very neat building, yeah.
You don't want to know how many times we drove by when the bridge was out, when you couldn't take the bridge to go to Atchison. We'd come up that way, and I'd take pictures of the buffalo every time.
I love the buffalo. They've been there since I was little.
Well, they've probably been there since the fort opened. But it's strange when you look look there in the stories that they talk about, the reason that they put Fort Leavenworth there is they'd say that if people escape from their prison out there, either if the Indians didn't kill them, the weather would, or the river. It was horrible. And
smart, actually.
it was. And, I mean, and to get the civilization, the next biggest area would have been St. Joe, which is still quite a distance away.
Yeah.
In Missouri, and then it took a while for trains to come through.
Yep.
Because it was just an outpost. But yeah, it was right on the edge of civilization at one time. And so people don't realize that. But a friend of mine owns a really beautiful house right there on Esplanade.
Oh, I think I know your friends.
The Lynches?
Yes.
Yes, John used to be my boss.
Oh, no kidding.
Yep. I used to sit right next to him. And so Bev and John their wedding anniversary is my birthday. So like I said, I know way more than I should about too many people.
I want to be Bev Lynch when I grow up.
There's I don't know what stories you've heard about her, but it's amazing that she's still here.
Yeah, she's a brilliant, brave woman.
She is. And they're such good people. And did you meet them at Leavenworth Liquors?
No, I met them. I met Bev looking at a full moon on Esplanade, and she came out walking her dog, and we just struck up a conversation. And I was like, "You're amazing," and she told me what she did in Leavenworth, and I was like, "Okay."
Oh, at the Carroll Mansion?
Yeah. Yep.
Do you know who the first people were to investigate the Carroll Mansion were?
Was it you?
Yes.
You and Ron?
Yep, me and Ron.
Very cool.
Yeah, she called us in to investigate it, and we put together a packet for them, explaining to them about how much money they could make if they opened it up for paranormal investigators. And the board turned it down.
Oh, wow.
And then the next people to investigate it were Rick Rose and Cher. Cher's down in Ozark, Missouri now. But they were the next ones to investigate it. But John's Leavenworth Liquors, the barbershop there was haunted.
Oh, wow.
The basement, especially the basement part of that, and then the apartments over above the barbershop were haunted.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So too bad I didn't get to really investigate it, other than he took us over there and was telling us about it, and I saw some things while I was in there. So yeah, I could go buy some spirits, and I could go visit some spirits when I'd go.
There you go.
So but yeah, so that's just two places right there. And then their house, when I went to John's house when they were working on it. And the story goes, it's really funny. He called me one day and he goes, "Denise, my house is happy." And I go, "What?" He goes, "My house is happy." And I said, "Because you're working on it." And we went over there and we went to visit one day, and we walked by this thing on the steps, and I pushed on it and it opened up, and they didn't know it was there. Their house was part of the Underground Railroad.
Oh, wow.
And then he was telling us that his tools would be in different places, and I got touched in their basement and some other weird things. So,
man,
very interesting house. But every time we showed up, the neighbor across the street and the neighbor next door would come outside and start talking to me when we would park our car. So, yeah. But see, is it Susan B. Anthony that lived on their street?
Yeah, the Anthonys lived up there, and some other prominent names. If you said them, I'd know them because
Carrie Nation.
Oh, yeah. She was kind of in an insane asylum here too for a while. That's
right. But but she's still famous.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of famous people that lived on that street. But these houses on this street, for people who don't know, they were usually, a lot of them were the officers that worked at the base.
Yep.
In fact, John's house is one of the officers that lived on the base.
And then they got all their nice housing up there for their officers.
Mm-hmm. And then they still got some crappy housing that used to be officer housing too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's a whole other story. But it's just, if you ever get a chance to go to Leavenworth, Kansas, it's a neat place to go. Just don't go to Dillon's. They're always working on that damn place.
They are in the nut house there.
Yeah. My daughter called it Pillows because the D looks like a P. But if anybody used to listen to Rick Rose when he lived in Leavenworth, he always talked about Shrine Park, dude.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
It's right there by the Dillons where Shrine Park Road is.
Yep.
But yeah, that's a long story. But you guys have some interesting history there. But what we're going to talk about next is I want to talk to you about the McIntyre Villa.
Okay.
I know when I went there, it was still owned by the Garrity's, and they were only like the third owners of the house.
That's right.
At the time. And when I talked to them and got them involved with the movie The Deep Darkness, the thing is the McIntyre Villa was built on the wrong side of town intentionally.
Correct.
Because at the time, Atchison has 29 mansions. They had lots of millionaires at the time, but the McIntyres were Irish and they didn't fit in with the other rich people in town. And they were actually shunned. People may not know that, but they were shunned because of their ethnicity. And so they built their mansion on the other side of town. So, and it's at 13th and Atchison. So it really does stand out, and it's on a hill. So you can see it from a distance, and Atchison uses it as their, kind of like their logo for Haunted Atchison. You'd think they'd use the Sally House or something, but no, this house looks like the creepy old house, even though it's not creepy. It in the past, when the Garrity's lived there, Keith Garrity used to make these beautiful, you drive by on the trolley, and he'd have these beautiful paper mache pumpkins and gargoyles and all this stuff, and they were waterproofed, and they would last through I don't know how many falls. And when we did the filming, they were all over the attic.
Oh my God.
So it was kind of creepy when you went in the attic, but they would have them all lined up and lit up when we would do the trolley tours. So it was really very pretty until the last 3 years when they put the house up for sale.
Yeah.
They stopped doing it so much. And so some of the things that we got used to, we didn't see anymore. And so we knew something was up. And when they put the house up for sale, I was surprised. In any other city, this house would have went for $500,000.
Oh yeah.
But because of Atchison being where it's at, it's not close to any big cities. There's no manufacturer. Well, there's one manufacturer in town. It's a dying town.
Yeah. And
so they sold it. I mean, they ended up having to sell it for a lot less than they wanted to. I think it would make a great bed and breakfast, but even the really nice bed and breakfast in town is up for sale. You did know that, right?
I did, yeah.
Well, I knew that Chris and Lohman were going to be retiring. Like Ron and I talked about this earlier when I saw that it was up for sale. The Glick Mansion that's directly across the street from the Sally House, for those of you who don't know, $475,000 for this mansion, and beautiful. But back to the McIntyre Villa. It was always on the trolley tour. So like I said, the only story they ever gave us was the story about Goldie and she lived there, and she was a musician in her life, and she would play with women's hair. That would be one of the stories that they would tell. Nothing horrible. And then something about a light in the tower, but there's no way that a light could shine out that window because it's really not a window. And it's like, okay, whatever, I don't know. I mean, it played on a little recorder. I didn't have to know the story. I just had to know which side of the road it was on, and I got that wrong half the time. So, I mean, I could point to it. I couldn't tell you if it was on the left or the right. This depended upon which way. The best story I have was when we went down the road and and she decided to back up the bus, and she hit the pole. Yeah. It's not good, but yeah, we we have had some really good stories, but that was one of the stories that we had until we got actually in the house. So when we went into the house with the Garrity's and they were walking us around, I'm looking around at the house. I'm a big architecture person. I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
And the first thing I see is uranium tiles on all the fireplaces.
I heard you say that last night. I meant to look that up today, but I didn't. Like uranium tiles, Google them, not specifically to McIntyre Villa, but
right. And so some of them will have high EMF, just out of the blue. They'll just have high EMF because the Carroll Mansion has them too. I had to research it for that. So and it's very common for older houses built in that time frame, pre-Civil War and post-Civil War, to have that up until about the 1910 era, to have uranium tiles. So I'm looking at this and I ask the question to I think her name is Carol, Miss the Garrity sister. And I asked her and I said, "Are these uranium tiles?" And she goes, "I believe they are." And so in every room, I noticed that had a fireplace, that there were these tiles. They're very bright and shiny.
Yeah.
And so that could help fuel a spirit. And that was one of the things that was really amazing to me. But like I said, I pay attention to those details. A lot of other people may not. So that was one of the things that I noticed. But then while we were up on the second floor, and they were in the bedroom at 13th and Kansas side.
Okay.
Because all the rooms attach. It's like a Hollywood bath. You can go from room to room to room, just like the houses were back then, for easier heating. So I'm in the hallway the whole time. I didn't even get to go in the rooms because that's where they were filming. While we're out in the hall, I'm hearing something go up and down the steps from all the way downstairs, all the way to the attic and back down. And I mean, it sounded like the pitter patter of little feet, but it could also have just been a maid or somebody else. I don't know who's in the house, but as I'm looking, I see the 3 Garrity's and our 2 camera guys and Richard Grund and Joe Strone. So it's like, this is all of us. We're all here in one spot. So there's nobody here. And the Garrity sister, she goes, "Yeah, we hear that all the time." She goes, "I don't know what it is." And I said, "Okay." So our next thing is to go upstairs. And we go upstairs. And of course, we see in the attic all these gargoyles and pumpkins and all that. And huge attic. I mean, you could roller skate up there.
Yeah.
And the stairs going up into the turret. And while we're up there, I still hear somebody going down the stairs from where we're at. That's the only thing that I heard the whole time. So you've been there a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And I know that you've done Facebook Live videos. And I'm going to tell you, I don't watch those videos until after I've been to someplace because I don't want to be influenced.
Yeah. Yep.
So tell me, what has been your most amazing experience at the McIntyre Villa?
Well, I do have to tell you that now, instead of gargoyles and pumpkins, there are skeletons everywhere. The current owner has a skeleton horse. She has skeletons crawling all over the house right now. They're all dressed up for Christmas too right now. So it's still a little creepy. Probably the most amazing thing that happened to me there was the first time we did it overnight and we decided to sleep. I laid on the floor in front of the piano and I heard the piano playing all night long. And I heard footsteps coming from the kitchen through the dining room to what used to be the main entryway, but they never went back through. They just kept coming from the kitchen into the main entryway. And with your ear to the ground in that house,
you'd be amazed what you can hear. And that's kind of our thing. My sister and I do. She lays in the hall upstairs, and I like to lay in the hall upstairs too, and just listen to the footsteps in that house. That's probably the most amazing thing that's happened to me there. And then there was a time, it was about 5 a.m. one morning we were there, and I was in the attic by myself, and I just heard constant whispering behind me. You couldn't make it out, but you could tell there was like a conversation happening, and I thought maybe some people from my team were up there. And when I looked around, nobody was there. It was just me in the attic, and these whispers. My sister has had nails thrown at her in the attic when she was there on an investigation once. But I think she was there with like a whole bunch of strangers. Like it was they sold tickets for it.
Right.
But it was just her and another person up in the attic, and they had nails thrown at them. And then there's a door that opens all the time, and the current owners catch that on video quite often. And they actually caught it closing one time. So there's lots of fascinating things happening there. I never feel a bad presence when I'm there. Not that I have a gift to feel that, but I feel like I can sleep there, so it can't be that dangerous. We're not that
right. None of the stories I've ever heard there have been horrible. They have never been anything that said, hey, don't go there. It's not like Malvern Manor. It's not like any place that's been, when we first went to Malvern Manor, nobody said don't go there. Okay. That didn't happen until after we went. When we went there, it was like, okay, they probably should start warning people that these kinds of things happen, because it didn't start happening until about that time. But, there are certain things that, people should probably know about in some of these places, but they never ever said anything about a negative haunting at the McIntyre Villa. In fact, the only negative haunting they ever talked about in Atchison was the Sally House.
Yeah, that's the only negative, scary place I've ever heard of in Atchison too.
Right, and technically there were more, but you never heard about them because they always, like I said, the River House was probably could have been just as scary. Yeah. And the Glick Mansion has got some really strange things going on, but I think the house next to the Sally House might be one of those places that people might have wanted to investigate before it sold.
Is that the Red House?
Yep.
Oh yeah, that house calls me.
That
it begs me to come inside of it and explore.
Well, that is the house that Dr. Finney actually lived in.
Yes.
And that's where Kate Finney died. And there is a picture that everybody will see once the movie comes out that will be amazing from that house. And the minute I saw it, the first thing I said was, "That's Kate Finney." And Joe Citrone almost fell backwards when I said who it was, that I recognized who it was right away.
Wow.
So it's an amazing thing. When I explained to the people who lived in the house the significance of the Red House over the Sally House, they were just amazed. They had no clue. But when we come back from this break, we've got some questions for you in chat that I'm going to ask you.
Oh, awesome.
Everyone, you're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama, and we'll be back in a couple minutes.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... Nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experienced Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. My guest tonight is Cassy Pennington, and I hope everybody's having a great night. So here's some of the questions we have for you in chat. The first one is from Carl from CC Paranormal Team in Caldwell County, Missouri. He wants to know, have you investigated with any other local teams?
We have investigated with the Staffords. Is that Supernatural Inc.?
Oh, yeah.
And we have investigated with Jan and Stephanie, but I cannot think of their group.
Kansas City Paranormal.
There you go. Yes, we've been with them.
I was with them when they decided that they were going on their own. Me and Ron were.
Yeah, we really like them, and they came here and hosted an event at the Fred Harvey House in Leavenworth, and that was our first like big group team thing to do several years ago, and that's how we met them. And I have investigated personally with Rick Rose at the Independence Marshall Home and Jail twice, and then with David Glidden a couple of times in several places. David Glidden and John Long.
Yeah.
That's probably. Oh, we did stop at Malvern once. Goofed off with Josh for a while there, but.
Well, anytime you're with Josh, it's called goofing off.
Yeah, it was fun. We had a great adventure there at Malvern Manor. We did a day tour there. We're still a little apprehensive about doing an overnighter there.
If you do an overnighter, well, the bad part is after the beginning of the year, it's going to be more expensive, but they're going to have heat.
That'll be so nice for him.
Yes. It will be, well, actually his office has heat, but for you as the investigator, it'll be nice because it was really cold. We got there when we went last month. Okay, we left here, it was 45. By the time we got up there, it was getting in the 20s, and the next morning we couldn't leave because there was snow everywhere.
You said it was
and
snowing
the roads yes, it was snowing in our room.
Yeah.
Yeah. And somehow, some way, Ron ended up with some kind of virus, and I had to take our tent down. And so, yes, we sleep in a tent in Malvern Manor.
Oh man.
Yeah. Well, it's one way to get heat and privacy. Yeah. But you have all these other rooms to pick from, but and we bring food, and we got Josh to come and hang out with us for a while by promising him whiskey cake.
Noted.
Yes, whiskey cake works every time. But yeah, it was, and it got him away from his mother-in-law. But no, he took back whiskey cake to his mother-in-law too. But he likes his mother-in-law.
That's good. Nice.
So another question we have is from Tom McNicholas. He says, great that Cassy has great locations in her area to visit. He says it sounds like his area. Does Cassy have any bucket list places to visit and investigate?
Well, big bucket list, all of Ireland. I need a couple of years off to to just go around Ireland. I've been enjoying watching Vanessa Hogel's first episode of her trip to Ireland investigating, and it just makes me want to go even more.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. As far as here in the United States, I really just like to stay local. Like you said, my town has got a lot of haunted lore and a ton of history, and it would be a great pleasure to investigate all of that.
Yeah, you guys have a lot to investigate because a lot of it hasn't been investigated publicly.
That's right.
And been allowed to be released to the public.
Yes.
And just so you guys know, Vanessa Hogel will be on the Paranormal Pride in January, on January 13th. So after she releases episode 2.
Oh, cool.
Yes. Because, she likes me. Well, let's go with, I don't know anybody who doesn't like me. And if they don't like me, that's their problem. That's the way I'm taking it right now. Amy wants to know what kind of equipment you like to use on an investigation.
Our team has all kinds of equipment, but what I personally like to use is just my camera, my recorder, and I recently purchased an EMF detector. And then we have these home security cameras that have IR in them. And so
are they DVR?
Yeah, you can record on them. Yeah. And so we just have them set for like motion right now, though. But it's nice to see if something happens in the dark, it alerts us on our phone and we can go back and look at it. And my big purchase that I would like to make would be one of the IR shop lights that John Long builds.
Well, the good news is his stuff's not too overly expensive, and you know that they're made with quality. Because I remember when he first made those lights, he brought them to this event. Well, it was a conference, and when I say conference, it was 10 of us in Utica, Illinois, and that's what it was. It was a conference. It was me and David and Ron and John and Dan Williams and Brandy and Scott. Well, that's 8, 9, and then Dan Williams' girlfriend. So there was 9 of us. Awesome. And we had a great visit talking about the science behind all of the stuff, and we investigated Duffy's Tavern together. And but like I said, we had a great time, and he showed us this light, and it was amazing, the light that he had at the time, and it was much smaller than the ones he's making now. So, I love John. He is such a sweet man. Too.
Well, he's the best.
He cares about so many people. So, but of course, we have to share custody of David.
Poor David.
No, not poor David. Lucky David.
He is very lucky. Yes, he's very loved by many parental figures in his life.
Yeah, and such a beautiful baby.
Yes,
so
man.
That little muffin. That's what I've been calling her. People around me get nicknames, and you had your own nickname already, so I didn't have to give you one. But
Cassy's so sassy.
Yes. So yeah, but that's how it goes. So do you have a piece of equipment that you guys think is the end all be all piece of equipment?
Not necessarily, no. My sister likes to use her dowsing rods. We have some other K2 meters that we like to use a lot that we kind of rely on. We have a FLIR camera. One of our teammates has a FLIR camera, and that's fun to use.
Is it the kind that you plug into your cell phone or your tablet? Or is it the actual?
It's like a handheld camcorder set up, sort of.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's expensive.
Yeah, I haven't touched it. I'm scared to break it. So we just let her play with it.
Yeah. Because all you need to do is see the results.
Yeah. We also have a Connect, but we haven't had any luck with it yet. We've set it up twice at 2 different investigations, and and we're trying to get more familiar with it.
Well, if you need to have a little bit of coaxing, Carl from CC Paranormal can give you a little bit of advice. So, and I think that you're friends with Carl on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Carl Albertson.
I'll have to look him up.
Yeah, look him up, and I know that if he's got time, he can at least send you, the way of some YouTube videos or something to help get you started on getting it set up right. If it's a setup issue or tweaking issue, he can tell you how to tweak it just right. He knows all that stuff.
Fabulous. I just friend requested him if he's still
Yes.
on.
Yes, he's on. He's a tinkerer. So he's the one I go to for that kind of stuff. So he builds his own stuff, and I'm glad you got to meet Jan and Stephanie, because they are good people.
They are.
And Stephanie's in my prayers all the time.
Same.
With her going through her cancer and stuff. But I met Stephanie in Atchison.
No, go.
Yeah.
You've met all your good friends there.
Yeah, well, I met her doing one of the haunted hops. It was when we weren't the team doing the haunted hops. We were just we were the liaison.
Oh.
For the haunted hop, and we did the Elizabeth Lane house and Liz's house. Well, Liz was actually like my third guest on my show. When I first started my show, Liz was one of my first guests. And she had a house there in Atchison that had been added on to multiple times. So it had like 3 different foundations and all this stuff. And on the way up there, Jan and Stephanie and James had such a horrible time getting there that they almost didn't make it because of the rain and hail and all this other stuff, that we had to almost start all the stuff without them.
Oh, my God.
We did start without them. We got everybody to the house, and they had to figure out how to get there on their own. And we had, Liz doing all her history stuff on the house before they got there. And we, basically I got them all set up to do the investigation while Liz was doing this other stuff, because they were like 30 minutes late.
Huh.
So it was weird.
Still own that house?
Liz still owns her house, yeah.
Oh, cool.
So her house is over on the south side of Atchison, in one of the used to be owned by a guy that used to run the newspaper, but it was the doctor's house at the time. We did she doesn't allow people in her house anymore since she had a falling out with the chamber.
Oh, bless her heart.
Well, that happened a couple years ago, back in say 2007. We all know when it happened, but yeah, a lot of people got out of that. I mean, it's just like the Berry house or the Cusack house there. They don't do tours anymore. And the Schisler house, they don't do tours anymore.
Huh.
So the Schisler house, that's also in the movie. I think they sold their house and moved to New Jersey.
I was going to say, I feel like that was just for sale.
It was for sale in 2017.
Yeah, pretty recently.
Yeah, and they've been trying to sell it for quite a while, but and it wasn't because it's haunted that they have a problem. The thing is, when you go to look for a house in Atchison, you know that it's quite possibly haunted. Again, it's location.
Yeah, you never know who. It's a nice house, yucky house. It's a
very nice house next door to a nasty house.
Yep.
In most cases, it is the strangest city you'll ever be in as far as that goes. You'll have a mansion across the street from a 1,200 square foot house, as in the case of the Glick Mansion and the Sally House.
Exactly.
As in the case of the house on the corner by the Schisler house is a huge stone mansion, and then you've got this 3-bedroom house. It's very strange when you think about how it's set up. Nobody in their right mind would have put a town together like this. So, but it is what it is. If you didn't know, there's people out there that don't know this, but Atchison at one time used to have 30,000 people in it. It may now have 9,000. So
it used to be a pretty big hub.
Yeah, it did when the Atchison-Topeka Railroad went through there, and it used to have 4 bordellos, which they don't ever talk about in the history of the town, and they were all they were all over town, but they're all in the downtown area, on both sides of the railroad tracks. So it didn't matter which side you lived on. you get there. But it's strange when you think about it. But when but then you go back to Leavenworth, and I don't know that much about that history, but at this time we're not going to talk about that. We're going to go to break.
Okay.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. We'll be back with Cassy Pennington in just a few minutes.
This is a Fox News alert, an impeachment hearing, and an Inspector General's report. I'm Lisa Brady. More on the hearing in just a moment. First, what the president is saying about the findings of the Justice Department's Inspector General about Trump campaign surveillance in the run-up to the Russia probe. Fox's John Decker is live at the White House.
President Trump reacting to the just-released IG report, which found there was no documentary or testimonial evidence that political bias or improper motivation influenced the FBI's decision to seek a FISA warrant on Trump campaign advisor Carter Page.
Well, they fabricated evidence and they lied to the courts and they did all sorts of things to have it go their way.
No such finding was made in the IG report, which concluded that although the FISA application was properly predicated, there were several omissions and inaccuracies in the warrant request. Lisa?
Well, John, both the U.S. Attorney General and the U.S. Attorney who's probing the origins of the Russia probe are questioning some of the report's conclusions. Familiar arguments at the latest impeachment hearing as the House Judiciary Committee grills lawyers about the findings in the Intelligence Committee's report. Democrats arguing the president abused his power in holding up military aid to Ukraine, then obstructed justice. Ranking Republican member Doug Collins says Joe Biden should be under investigation for helping to push for the firing of a Ukrainian prosecutor as vice president.
Joe Biden, of everybody that we discussed about, is the only one that's done a quid pro quo. He's the only one that's used taxpayer dollars to actually threaten a foreign government.
But the committee's majority counsel, Daniel Goldman, says Biden had the backing of the international community, which considered that prosecutor to be corrupt.
There's a distinction between doing an official act for an official purpose and doing an official act for a personal purpose.
The Judiciary Committee working toward possible articles of impeachment. At the closing bell, the Dow down 106. America's listening to Fox News.
If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. That's the problem growing businesses have because of a hodgepodge of business systems. One for accounting, another for sales, another for inventory. If that's you, you know it's a mess that takes up too much time and too many resources. And that hurts the bottom line. You need NetSuite by Oracle, the cloud-based business management software that gives you the visibility and control you need to grow. With NetSuite, you save time, money, and unneeded headaches by managing sales, finance and accounting, orders, and HR instantly from your desktop or phone. That's why NetSuite is the world's #1 cloud business system. Companies that use NetSuite grow 3 times faster than the S&P 500. And right now, NetSuite is offering you valuable insights with a free guide, 7 key strategies to grow your profits at netsuite.com/Fox. That's netsuite.com/Fox to download your free guide, 7 key strategies to grow your profits. netsuite.com/Fox.
A renewed war of words with North Korea.
North Korean official on Monday calling President Trump a heedless and erratic old man. This after the president warned on Sunday the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has, quote, far too much to lose if he acts in a hostile way. All of this after what's believed was a long-range missile engine test on Saturday by the North. It was conducted at a site used to launch satellites in the past. The North had offered to dismantle the site in talks with the U.S. Now things have changed. The North setting a deadline of the New Year's for the U.S. to come up with a new offer regarding denuclearization negotiations, or it has threatened a Christmas present for the U.S.
Fox's Greg Palcott. As the impeachment probe continues, a hearing set for tomorrow before a federal judge in D.C. could determine whether House Democrats hear from former Deputy National Security Advisor Charles Kupperman. Although a subpoena for his testimony has already been withdrawn, Democrats saying they'll rely on the outcome of a case involving former White House counsel Don McGahn. A driver hits a sour note on social media, but technically speaking, hasn't done anything wrong.
Video circulating online shows a man in Utah playing the trumpet behind the wheel. A family capturing the clip on an interstate in Utah County. For at least several seconds, the man is seen with both hands on the instrument, not on the steering wheel. Utah Highway Patrol tell local media it's dangerous, advising folks to drive carefully. However, it turns out playing the trumpet while driving in Utah isn't illegal. Officers say unless a driver is speeding or committing another moving violation, they're not breaking the state's careless driving law. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
A new record deal reported in baseball. A source tells AP that World Series MVP Steven Strasburg agrees to stay with the Washington Nationals for a 7-year deal worth $245 million. Lisa Brady, this is Fox News.
This news report is brought to you by NetSuite by Oracle, the cloud-based business management software that gives you the visibility and control you need to grow. NetSuite is offering their free guide, 7 key strategies to grow your profits at netsuite.com/Fox.
Welcome back to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 5 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. My guest tonight is Cassy Pennington. And if you guys have any questions at all for Cassy, please use either one of the chats to put your questions out there, and I will make sure that I ask them. And I guarantee you, she's going to give you an answer because she knows how this goes. I keep asking until I get an answer. So when you were talking earlier about Ireland, do you have a specific place over there that you want to go?
Not off the top of my head, no. Just I haven't done enough investigating. I don't even have a passport yet, so I haven't even taken that first step to getting to Ireland. But I have a family history there, and as soon as I figure out where those people all put their feet, that's the first place I want to go.
There are lots of good books to read about the locations themselves. But again, you can't take pictures in a lot of those places, so it's kind of hard to say, hey, you want to go here, you want to go there. But I'll tell you, I want to go to Leap Castle. I remember seeing it on Scariest Places on Earth years ago. You may be able to find that on YouTube. But when we first started watching these shows, Linda Blair hosted Scariest Places on Earth, and I used to love watching that show. Yeah. Her with the little lady from the Poltergeist.
Oh, going to
the medium. Yeah. So they were on there, and so you'd have Linda Blair hosting, and then this lady's voice going at Leap Castle. This, and and you go, oh, it's just creepy hearing, hearing this. So you got to find that online and watch those.
I will be YouTubing that, yes.
Yeah. We just love those shows. And because, for us, we were watching ghost stories with Ghost Stories a long time ago. McPike Mansion was on Ghost Stories back in 2003. Oh. So you've got shows going back to like 1999 and things like that. And people are going, what? There was ghost shows then? Yeah, there was all kinds of them. So what was the first ghost show that you think you watched?
I definitely remember it being probably Hauntings, I think is what it was called. And they were at the Sally House.
Oh, a haunting.
Yeah. And they also went to like the Gargoyle House just because it was Atchison. I think that's why we tuned into that.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Haunted Towns on the Travel Channel.
It was probably the Travel Channel. Yeah.
Yep. And
it's
John
But
yeah, John did the voiceovers. He was the tour guide on the bus that did all the voiceovers, and I had him help out with the movie as well.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, because he did one of the walking tours that we did in Atchison as well, because he's got the best radio voice.
Nice.
And so I had him involved. I love talking to him. He is a poli-sci professor, and doesn't really match up with me very much, but I love listening to him and his stories about everything. And he's not from Atchison.
Oh.
He just moved there. I mean, he moved there 25 years ago, and so he ended up just getting very knowledgeable about the town because that was his thing. He ended up buying a historic house there and ended up doing the research. So if you're at Theater Atchison and you're looking at Theater Atchison and you look to your right up on the hill is this big white house. He used to own that big white house.
Oh, wow.
And it was a bed and breakfast at one time called the St. Martin Bed and Breakfast. Nice. So he was trying to sell it. So every time we'd go on a walking tour, he'd tell everybody about the big, beautiful white house up on the hill and about it being for sale. So he's such a nice man. But I remember seeing that after I was doing tours there, because it's like, I'd never seen it. And then they go, oh, it was on Most Haunted Towns. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I went and I looked it up and I had to see it at that point. So it is very interesting. But the Gargoyle House is one of the places that I would love to get into.
Good luck.
It's never going to happen. But I did have the kids from the house. They were older at the time. They were like 17. They came to the Sally house and they were telling me stories.
Oh, nice.
And so there are some stories from inside the house and from neighbor kids that used to go and spend the night there with their friends. But, it did have one of the largest law libraries in this part of the country in there.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know, did you ever take the walking tour?
No, I didn't. My mother-in-law, she does the tours at the Cray Mansion there in Atchison. Have you ever been in there?
Actually, I investigated it.
Yeah, she's not her, but her sister who does the tours with her. She's had some experiences in there, and I'd like to kind of wish to get in there too.
When Liz Lane was the curator at the Eva C. Cray, she took us through there, and we had some interesting things happen when we were in there. Yeah. And so we got to check it out then, and it's really interesting. The Munchnick is very interesting.
I've been
not as haunted as people want to believe that it is. Yeah. And if it is, it's in the other rooms that you can't get into.
Oh. We scared the lady there one weekend. We got in, the door was open. She was upstairs. She had no clue we were in there. She just heard someone coming up the steps and she was scared out of her mind that it was a spirit.
Oh.
That's the only story I really have there. It is a neat place though.
One weekend when they used to have the psychic weekend up there.
Yeah.
They had me in at the Munchnick and had a medium come in there to do readings, and apparently she wasn't very she's supposed to be a psychic medium, and apparently she wasn't very good because she had no clue that I wanted to beat the daylights out of her because she kept saying things that were rude to the people. And by the time I left, by the time I got relieved from Angie, by the time Angie got there, because I had to go to the Sally house to go do the tours. And by the way, by the time I got to the Sally house, the person that was there that was trying to do the tours was only letting in people 3 at a time.
Oh,
so there's a line down the street. Yeah, there's a line down the street. So here I am, dealing with this medium that's a pain, and Ron's already at the house with Leah, and he's trying to do his part with the tours, there, but this lady's only letting in, 3 to 5 people at a time. And this one girl, she comes in and she gets her reading and she leaves upset.
Oh.
And of course, I don't know where she's going. And after she leaves, I try to calm her down, and because I had talked to her before her reading and she was fine, but after her reading she was really upset. And I get the next person in there, and Angie finally shows up, so I leave. And it's only a block down and a block over to the Sally house. So I get over to the Sally house, and here's this girl that was just crying at the Munchnick in line. And I get rid of the lady that's only letting in 3 people at a time. Tell her, you can go home. I said, I can handle this. And she goes, there's so many people. I said, don't worry about it. I said, I can handle this. I said, I am such a good people herder. I can take care of it. Got rid of her, got everybody in the house, because you've seen how I handle it. It's really easy. And so I get this girl that was crying in there, and she goes, what are you doing here? You were just at the other place. I said, oh, that was my twin. And she started laughing. Okay. So I get her all calmed down, and, later on we start talking, and I start telling her some things about her grandmother. And thing is, we're still friends to this day, me and this girl. And I tell her some things, and she goes, you told me more than she did.
Oh my gosh.
And I said, I'm so sorry. I said, but your grandmother, I did not see her once when you were there. I said, I don't know if she just didn't like that other lady or what. I said, but she's here with you right now. I said, she's been walking around with you here. And oh yeah, she left the house. She was happy as pie. Oh. But the thing is I didn't know why she was crying. She didn't tell me why she was there, because I had told her. I said, have you ever done this before? And she said, no. I said, well, don't give out any information.
No.
I said, don't tell anybody anything about who you want to talk to or anything like that. I said, that's the big thing. And so it was good. So
yeah.
And Gary asks, how does a spirit make noise going upstairs? Well, because maybe back in the day they had on shoes, and it's
dragging
residual noise. It's dragging its chains. Well, in your case, you were actually making noise coming up the stairs. It wasn't a spirit. But yeah, we have some weird stories at the Munchnick. Like nobody told them we were coming for one of the haunted hops, and I jumped off the porch and almost broke my leg.
Oh gosh.
Trying to get somebody to let us in, and I had a bus full of people that are wanting to get in, and it was, I don't know. I have more stories about Atchison than I've ever told anybody, but you guys have had some great experiences just on the places that you've been.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, you guys have had more fun team building and
we do,
making friends.
We have a great time as a team, and we do like going to, like, when the Staffords host an event. They did the Shawnee Mission Indian. Was it a school? Yeah, they. It was
Indian Mission.
Yeah, it's so nice to go and meet other teams and other people and see what they're doing and learning from them. That's kind of like why I like going and coupling up with other teams. Even my sister and I we went to the Beatty Mansion, just her and I, and a team from Indiana of 3 people. And we learned a lot from them and had a good time, kind of just let each other do their own thing. And then towards the end, we got together and investigated. It's just really neat to see other equipment and how people put it to use, and other techniques that people use to try to speak to spirits or get things to happen.
Right, because there's no one way that's perfect.
Right.
But there may be one way that's perfect for you or for them.
Correct. Yeah, and we like meeting other people. It's nice to have more like-minded friends. People who don't think you're crazy for talking to dead people in the dark.
Yeah, that part. I like meeting people that don't agree with me on the way that I investigate, because that's how I learn more. because otherwise I'm going to be sitting there in the dark by myself at some point, which I hate to say this and everybody knows it, but half the time, I mean, some of the time I end up by myself in the dark room because sometimes I need to experience that by myself. So it's just how we investigate. You know, we were teasing Dara the last time. The last few times we've all been together, she's gotten tons of pictures of Ron, but none of me. It's like, where in the heck was I during all
doing
this?
Your thing.
Yeah, no, well, either that or I was in the kitchen cooking, or at Malvern I was cooking, you know, or I was sitting in the living room because it was cold, or well, it's not a living room, but it's got sofas, so it looks like a living room.
Yeah.
But, you know, or I was somewhere else doing something, God only knows. But when we're together, we're also busy doing stuff that we forget to take pictures of each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you know how that goes, because I know there's times that when you're especially with your own sister, you're going, oh, I remember what she looks like. I don't need to take a picture of her.
I'm like, I'll come home and have 100 pictures of headstones and rooms with nobody in them and not a single picture of her and I. We usually try to take a selfie when we do stuff together, but you're right. It's mostly pictures of nothing.
Yeah. Everybody, this is another break. If you have any questions, please put them in either one of the chats or send me a private message on Facebook, and I will make sure those get asked. You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. We'll be back with Cassy Pennington in just a few minutes.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal
it's
talk,
8:20.
only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Hey, you don't send me a message, I don't know what's going on.
Several U.S. presidents are on record talking about the UFO mystery.
Yeah, Presidents Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan both had UFO sightings of their own, but the current presidential campaign might be the first
I have two computers
in which UFO
up
disclosure
right now. One
has
is
been
just
championed
for
by a major party
digital
candidate.
time, so that I can see exactly what time it is, so that I don't screw up.
CIA, it moves around,
And I still screw up.
is operating
and,
a program to
and one
train
for the chat
psychic
room.
spies to spy and use their
But
powers
what's
against
really
Russia.
good is I don't have to worry
John
about
Watson writes about
producing the
this in
show.
the
I got
miniseries
Kat for
Ghost.
that. She has that worry about that part.
The first
It's unlike when I
known
was on the other network
sighting
where I had to
of
do
a
it all.
ghost took place right after Abraham Lincoln was assassinated.
But Kat's my
in the late 1860s
my
during the administration of
best
Ulysses
friend
Grant.
during the show, especially.
Project Paperclip, Clinton releases it all in 1998.
Possibly the unequal cooling of its surface.
I say, do you still think it's a meteor, Professor?
I don't know what to think. The metal casing is definitely extraterrestrial.
It's a place where UFO hunters and scientists gather to examine paranormal activity in the region.
Some of the documents, this is bringing Nazi scientists into the United States to work here. So we fought against the Nazis, and it's not, this again is not a revelation. As early as 1947, 1946, we knew some of this, right?
On the paranormal, will we see U.S. President Barack Obama's foreign policy go intergalactic in a quest for gold stolen by aliens? We'll tell you at least how the White House responded to claims the chief executive has been teleporting to Mars. But let's get to today's Capitol account.
UFOs, hauntings, psychic abilities, conspiracy, ESP, cryptozoology. There are many things that remain unexplained in the inexplicable world around us, and we're talking about them here, looking for answers on WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama. The truth is out there.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 23 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. My guest tonight is Cassy Pennington with Prison Town Paranormal. She is just one of the members of that team. She has other members of her team there in the room with her, but they didn't want to be on the air because they're scaredy cats. So I don't know how they can paranormal investigate if they're scared to talk to me on the radio. And so now I'm never going to live this one down. But
no, we're all having a good time. Just so you know that.
Well, that's good. I'm glad. That's the whole point of all this. So in the Kansas City area, do you have a bucket list place here that you guys want to check out?
We're thinking. Yeah. No, we're so stuck on Leavenworth right now. We've been invited to two of the places that I can tell you about. There's an old theater, the old Hollywood Theater here. We've been invited there. We had a great time that night. And then also the community center, which is the first depot in Kansas. It was.
Yeah, I know. It's a restaurant.
Yeah, it was Union Station before Union Station became Union Station. And we investigated there one night and caught absolutely nothing. But the people that work there have experiences, and they've invited us back after the new year. We're going to go there again.
Oh, John actually wanted me to get in there, and it just never happened.
Yeah, there's also I wonder if you're thinking about the restaurant, the Depot Diner, that's kind of downtown, like towards Broadway and downtown. I think he told me about both of them. Yeah, that's supposedly haunted too. We haven't been in there at all to investigate, but they got good French toast.
Oh. The best French toast I've had, I'm going to tell you, is you're going to love it. It's at the Silverton Casino in Vegas, and it's Bananas Foster's French toast. It's got ice cream and rum. You can't go wrong.
Road trip.
Yes. Well, I'm going in March.
That's right. Family there.
So yeah, I get to go almost anytime I want. So, but I love food, period. So once I find good food, it's like I'm getting what I want. So is there? So you guys are still stuck on Leavenworth.
We are. We've been. I think individually we've been, asked by our friends for advice, and I've had a couple friends invite me to their house. And I think outside of Leavenworth, maybe a place we'd really like to go would be the Crescent Motel.
The Crescent Hotel?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little bit big to be a motel.
Well,
but I am going to give you some advice.
Yes.
Don't go until there's no snow. And when it says go 10 miles an hour on the road, go 10 miles an hour on the road.
Yeah, it's treacherous down there.
It is horrible, especially coming from Branson down to there.
Yeah.
It's horrible. At this point, I told Ron, I said, I only want to come from the Arkansas side.
Yeah, it's a different way.
That's just me. It's still... Kat will tell you the same thing. She didn't like coming from the Arkansas side either, but it's just, I just don't, it's just not a good, it's just horrible down there. But there are some places to investigate along the way, depending upon which way you go. If you come down through Branson, you've got Springfield. You could maybe hit a day tour at the Pythian Castle.
Oh yeah, that's a great idea.
And there's some other places in maybe if you did it in the springtime, you could hit Wilson's Creek, which is a battlefield, and you could check that out. So, and there's some other places in Arkansas that we're planning on going to, but they are, there's some really neat places to go to down in the area that we know about. The Basin Park Hotel is also haunted.
Oh yeah, yep. So our team, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, we're just a bunch of moms, and so it's hard for us to get away from little kids right now. And I think that's probably why we stay focused on local mostly. if one of us gets out to explore one of these places, we definitely share our, good time with each other.
Yeah. Well, the main thing is that when you do go, that you do it to have fun, and I understand that part. My daughter is turning 21 this year, my youngest. So, and people will tell you, I still get phone calls from her when we're out and about, and I have to walk away and go take the call to see what's going on. So,
they'll have to be even when they're grown. Yep.
Well, it's because grandma is, I'm still grandma, and there's still questions that she has that I have to answer. So it doesn't change a whole lot, but I can go, hey, I got to go. I'm going here, and you can call me, but I may not be able to get the call. So, Ron goes, she's not grown. She is grown. It doesn't mean that she makes the best decisions. So just be aware of that.
Another place that we would like to go, and a place I would take my kids to, would be the Board Camp Crystal Mine outside of Mena, Arkansas. Mm-hmm. David and Josh went there in David's second Into the Light documentary. And then I got to meet those people who run that at Kansas City Paracon. And they were fabulous to listen to. I would love to go there just for the thrill of it for the kids.
It's a very long drive down there.
Yes. It's
just a heads up. And
it'd be a long weekend.
It would be a long weekend, and it's kind of expensive.
Is it, man?
Yeah. That's the only thing, because we checked it out and saw that it was kind of expensive. But, it is what it is. There are some places down in that area that are really interesting to investigate as well. But, if you ever have any questions on that, on places in that area, Ron's family used to live in Arkansas.
Oh, okay.
And so from that, I know a few places that are really good. I also know a few places that are very inexpensive that people wouldn't know about because they don't advertise.
Awesome.
So there's a place down there that we know is haunted, but we're not allowed to talk about them because apparently they don't want other people to know that they're haunted, even though everybody knows they are, which is weird. So, and earlier you were talking about when you take your kids out, sometimes you take them to cemeteries.
Yeah.
So do you and your team investigate cemeteries, or do you just take your kids to investigate cemeteries?
Just along the way, if we come across a cemetery, we like to stop at them. There's a cemetery here, I know you've heard of it, called Round Mound.
Oh, yeah.
It's in Atchison County, and a lot of people are scared to go up there. I have ancestors buried there, so I'm not scared of it.
Oh, I've been there a couple times.
It's fun to take the kids. It's kind of a spooky old place, and but yeah, I want my girls to be comfortable with running their own EVP session and feeling comfortable talking about. I have a very healthy, unhealthy relationship with death, and I just think it's good to get them comfortable with that. It's a fact of life.
It's a fact of death. It happens. I've been to Round Mound Cemetery twice, I think. Was it twice that we went there, Ron, or just once? I guess he can't hear me.
Yeah.
So Round Mound, we only go once or twice? Twice. 3. One of the times we went, it was really funny. We get out there and my check engine light comes on.
Oh,
it didn't go off for 3 months. I didn't click. That didn't click. That was all. I got gas. I just didn't click. But when we went out there, I went one way with Joe, and Ron went a different way with this other guy. And Ron's asking him all kinds of questions, and Joe's taking me to this grave. He goes, "Oh, there's a witch buried here." And I'm like, yeah. And I roll my eyes because it's just and I'm like, okay, well, I know why. I mean, people, it's a legend.
Yeah.
You know, and Time magazine also covered it. It was back in the 60s or 70s or something. They had a Time magazine that they came out there and they covered this witch's grave. But, you know, if you go across the country, you can find probably 500 graves that are witches' graves.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're looking for this grave, and I come to Ron, and he goes, well, what did you hear? And he goes, did you hear anything? And I go, yeah, I just heard a lot of babies crying. I said, I don't know why I'm hearing a lot of babies crying.
There are a lot of babies buried up there.
And, but I didn't know why I was hearing them.
Wow.
You know, and of course they say that when you're on Round Mound that you don't, you know, you can see that the wind is blowing in the trees, but you won't feel it. But I did. I mean, my hair was moving, so I was feeling the wind. So that was crap. But it was kind of strange. You know, they had the gates. The gates were closed up there at the time, and because people were messing with the cemetery. But it's an unusual place to have a graveyard in the middle of these fields.
On top of a hill.
Yeah, on top of a hill. But at least, you know, one thing, they never have to worry about that sucker getting flooded out.
That's true. Very true.
You know, not that there's any flooding that far inland over there. But the first cemetery in Atchison it was over on O Street. And what was buried there, they don't even cover this in the trolley tour. It was Mormons that died from cholera.
Yeah.
That came from the massacre at Hans Mill.
Yep.
And so when they resettled, they scattered, and they ended up in this one place over in Atchison area. And then when they died, that's where they buried them.
Yep.
No, and the thing is there were no headstones or anything, so nobody really knew that they were there.
You just have to luck out with an old journal entry from one of those pioneers to know exactly who may be buried there.
Well, I found an old newspaper clipping.
Nice.
That outlined all of this information, and it was from the town platting as well.
Oh, wow.
Because this was in 1839 that this happened, and the town platting wasn't until 1850 something.
Yeah. Wow.
So long before some other first graveyards were apparently built.
Man.
So it's funny when you read all this stuff and you build a timeline and you go, okay, this is what's going on. And someday, you know, you'll find that you'll get so involved in one location that you're going to want to research it down to the very beginning.
Oh, yeah. And that's kind of what I do for work is I have access to all those archives and those deed books. And that's what I do. I get all dive deep down, and then I start running genealogy on all these people, and I become obsessed.
Right. That's what happened with me with 2 locations so far.
Yeah, you just get obsessed with it, and it takes over.
Well, it's kind of like, I think when that happens, something's calling you to do that.
Well,
there's a reason.
I feel like people want me to find them. That's kind of why I go to cemeteries so much, is I just don't want people to be forgotten. And I have a thing that I'm doing right now where I go up to the old VA cemetery, and I sit in front of a grave and I look up on Find a Grave, and I'll read their obituary. It's weird. I'm weird, but I just want them to not think that they've been forgotten.
Well, the bad part is some of those on Find a Grave have nothing.
Yeah, you're right. It is kind of a wash sometimes, but I'm a card carrying Mormon myself, and so I have access to a whole lot of genealogy websites and great ways to find people. And so yeah, I'll if nothing's on Find a Grave, I will go home on my computer and start looking up.
Oh yeah. When I had on Alex Matsuo, she gave a lot of different genealogy links, and one of them was to one of the Mormon genealogy sites.
Awesome.
And speaking about Mormons, we went to Cove Fort on vacation.
Oh, you did?
Yep. The end of I-70.
Yeah.
We went there, and we're not Mormon, but it was just a nice place to stop. Yeah. And we checked it out, and it is, if you ever get a chance to go there, it is very nice to check it out. And it is one of the cleanest places, and I think it'll still be there in 200 years.
Yeah, if it's maintained by the church, definitely.
They were cleaning when we were there.
Yeah,
I think they clean it every day.
Yep.
But like I said, you should. I mean, almost the whole state of Utah is, almost every site, Brigham Young and all this, and it is great that they are keeping up the history. But the architecture of this fort is so amazing.
I will have to stop out there. We enjoy southern Utah, and is this Beaver, Utah that's in?
It's north of Beaver, Utah. Yeah. And if you do ever make it to Beaver, Utah, the creamery, you got to go to the creamery. They have really good ice cream.
You talked about food, and there you find it everywhere you go.
I do. I found in Fruitland, there is a really good ice cream place too. Mm. But I can tell you ice cream from here to, here in either direction. I mean, all the way to Virginia Beach and all the way to Vegas. So, because we always stop for ice cream, no matter where we go. But I will tell you one place that's not worth stopping was the geyser. The Crystal River geyser was not worth stopping for.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that.
There's Crystal River geyser water, bottled water, spring water.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there's a geyser. It's in Green River, Utah.
Oh, yeah.
But the neatest thing was being on new Area 51 road.
Ooh.
But the road gets really bad for a car. We were hoping to be abducted so that our car didn't have to drive the rest of the way back. But it wasn't
a good alien story. I'm still on the fence about aliens myself. So
I am too. But there's got to be some. We can't be the only things out there.
Yeah.
There's got to be something else. We can't be the only intelligent life.
I hope not.
I can't believe that. So
many experiences people have had, but I haven't had one. So
I have heard some really amazing stories from people that I wish I could get them on my show to talk about them. But one is a producer of multiple radio shows, and she can't. And the other won't talk publicly.
No.
And it's somebody we all know. And until he's ready to talk publicly, I'm not going to force it. But and these are people I trust.
Yeah.
And then you've got Travis Walton and his story, and he's never wavered. So there's got to be something. So, and then you got Bigfoot.
Yeah.
How's he everywhere?
I don't.
It's got to be aliens.
It's got to be aliens. Well, I guess Bigfoot's the forests are being taken up by all the housing developments, and they have to live somewhere. Get dispersed. I still don't know how I feel about Bigfoot.
I don't either. I don't know how I feel about possible monsters out there, and I just got finished watching the Helltown documentary on TV, and I don't like that one. I think that one's full of stuff. I'm going to do a little bit more research on that, but I don't know how I feel about that. I have a problem with conspiracy theories. I don't think everything's a conspiracy.
Yeah, no.
I think some things are just theories, and leave it at that. But it's just what I believe. There's all kinds of things out there. So, what do we believe? And what we believe is as diverse as what we are as people.
Exactly.
And there's no telling someone, hey, that doesn't exist, because we believe in a God that we don't physically see.
Exactly.
We believe in a God that we see in our mind's eye, or that we feel. So we can't say these things don't exist.
Yeah.
At least not positively.
No.
So that's how I feel about it. I mean, and these are the opinions of Denise Pridemore, not the opinions of WBHM Digital Broadcasting. And at that, we are at our last break. So you're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. We'll be back with Cassy Pennington in just a few minutes.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experienced Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
To the believer, the evidence is overwhelming. To the skeptic, there will never be enough. Hello, everyone. Join Kevin and Jennifer Malik, the host of Paraversal Universe, every Friday here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting. Also heard on WCET-FM and The Rift. Log on or tune in as they check out the mysteries found within the 8 categories of the unknown and unexplained, including ghosts and haunted places, aliens and UFOs, theology and mythology, cryptids and monsters, urban legends and folklore, conspiracies, metaphysics, and forbidden archaeology. Listen as Kevin and Jennifer interview the top minds in their respective fields as they share theories and information regarding these unsolved mysteries. For future show and archive information, one can find Paraversal Universe on Facebook, Twitter, and MeWe under various Paraversal Universe headings. So, for excellent talk radio about the unknown and unexplained, check out Paraversal Universe, where all paranormal perspectives apply. Brought to you by the Northern Wisconsin Paranormal Society, Ltd., and produced by WBHM-DB.com.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 45 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and apparently I was in La La Land. I was just laying back and relaxing. So this has been such an easy interview that I feel that relaxed. So what are you guys planning on doing? Do you have any plans for next year or the rest of this year?
Well, this coming Saturday, we're going to be at McIntyre Villa again for an overnighter. We'll be there, oh gosh, probably 15 or 16 hours. We'll see what we come up with this time. We have a couple of new people joining us as well this time. And we have I have a friend's house that I'm going to go help investigate before the end of the year. And I don't think we've really planned anything out for next year yet. We do want to make it up to Malvern. We bought our tickets for Haunticon in Omaha. That's in April.
Well, good. I'm glad they moved it from March because last year a lot of people almost didn't make it because of the flooding and the bad weather.
We had to go a roundabout way because of the flooding too.
Didn't you have to go up 75?
We went through like Atchison and Troy, and I don't really know how we went. We just followed them on the phone.
Yeah, should have just went up 75 and saved yourself some time.
And then on the way home from there, that's when we stopped at Malvern and we came home through Iowa and St. Joe. And
yeah, you went down 71 through Clarinda and all that.
Yeah, we took a whole bunch of farm roads too, though.
Oh, well, see, that's when you should have said, "Hey, Denise, you know a better way." Because see, Ron's family. See, another place that Ron's family's from.
No,
Red Oak, Iowa. His mom's from there.
Great thing about old farm roads and old highways is there's little cemeteries off the sides of them sometimes. So you never know what kind of adventure you're going to find.
Yeah, but the bad part is on those old farm roads, you didn't know which ones are closed, because some of those roads right now are still closed.
From the floods, yeah.
Yeah, we were up there. The Thurman exit is still underwater.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, my cousin lived off that exit. Thank God she lives in Denver right now. But yeah, the trailer that she lived in was still underwater because it was right on that exit. So when we were coming up, it was actually sad. You could have done duck hunting straight from your car. It's that bad.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I could see people pulling over to the side and boom, 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 just going, okay, I'm done. I got my load and
dinner.
Yeah, but like I said, the next day it was so cold, a lot of that was already frozen because it was that cold overnight that there was icicles everywhere. But yeah, because if you'd went the other direction, you could have went by Villisca.
Yeah, I haven't been there yet. I personally haven't been there yet. I'm being told now other people have in this room.
I'm going to tell you, I was disappointed the last time we went.
Were you?
Because it's only 20-minute tour now.
Oh,
they ran us through.
Does Johnny not let us stay overnight?
No, you can stay overnight. You're going to pay. You're going to pay for that. You know, 6 people, $430 some odd dollars. But yeah, you're gonna pay for that. But for your day tours, that $10 a person, it's 20 minutes.
Oh.
So it's not worth going during the day anymore. It used to be you could get there at 1 o'clock and you could stay until they kicked you out at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, that's
like the Sally House.
Or Malvern's that way too. He kind of gives you a tour and he's like, "Go have fun."
Yeah, he's got the same idea that we had, and I think that that's a good way to go. But the girl gave me this look like, apparently you've never been here when it's busy, and it's like, yeah, I have. In fact, Johnny just left us in the house with all the people, and we were basically giving people tours, telling them the history of the house. Because Johnny was like, "I don't want to go in there. You do it." You know, and it just kind of makes you laugh when this young girl's telling me that, well, apparently you've never been here when it's busy. I'm like, you didn't want to know the look I gave, but it wasn't good. And I said, well, I talked to her afterwards, and I said, yeah, we used to do the tours at the Sally House. I said, we've seen busy.
Yeah.
So I just kind of laughed, but no, Martha's running a tight ship up there. So, but at least you could have driven by and seen the house and taken pictures.
Yeah, took a picture. Yeah.
But you do know the address. You know, I've told you what the address is.
Sally House, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you'd been able to find it, and then the graveyard. You could hit the graveyard for
Villisca victims. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just down the street.
We did after we left Malvern, we went to the graveyard where Inez, the little girl who allegedly haunts part of Malvern, is buried, and her brother.
Yeah.
And explored that cemetery for a little while. We have a thing for cemeteries.
Well, I am just so grateful that Josh is now actually saying that Inez did not die in the house.
Yeah.
That she died in her house across the street.
Yeah.
He took my history and went with it. So I was glad to hear that, because I have not been on the last 2 tours at the Malvern when we've been.
Yeah, he gave us a nice quick tour and then kind of just let us go out on our own. So, but I do remember him saying that Inez didn't die there at Paracon when he did his talk there.
Yeah, like I said, back in the day, though, when we went on our first tour, I had the spirit that was telling me all this stuff, and I'm sitting there going on the tour, and I'm just shaking my head, and Josh goes, "What's wrong?" And I go, "It's not true."
Yeah.
And that's all I can say is the spirit's telling me it's not true.
It's worth looking into. I mean, anything you think rumor wise, like poor little Sally and her appendix bursting. I mean,
yeah,
it's
kind of
worth
wish that
to the truth, but
yeah, you wish it was true. You wish it was easy enough to find. Yeah, you wish you could find some reason why a building is haunted.
Yeah.
A good reason why this place is haunted, because it's like the Shawnee Indian Mission.
Yeah,
it's got a good reason to be haunted. It's got a huge history. It was there a long time, even before there were many. It was the first white settlement in Kansas.
Yeah,
I think it was even here before Leavenworth. I used to drive by it all the time, so I know exactly where it is. We used to live up on Rainbow, and so we used to see it all the time. And I worked at the Sprint building at the world headquarters when it was there. So needless to say, I was right there.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting history, but back when I lived up there, we didn't have computers. Computers at that time were still the size of a giant dresser. You couldn't have one in your house. And then when I started working for Sprint, I didn't have time to go and fiddle around on the internet researching stuff.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of interesting to go by there. So when I was talking to Katie, it was, I saw that they were doing tours there. I was really excited about that. I thought that would be an interesting place. And instead I end up finding their headquarters to spend the night for our wedding anniversary.
Oh my gosh.
What are the odds of that?
Yeah.
And they're really nice people. And I'm glad you guys got to meet them, because so I'm just glad you guys have met some of the really good people in the paranormal.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I enjoyed meeting you at the Sally house, and then you accepted my friend request pretty quick on Facebook, and then it was pretty neat to see how many friends we had in common.
Yeah, because I kind of hide who my friends are until we're friends. There's reasons for that, but that's just. But everybody knows that reason. But okay, I'm going to ask your sisters a question, and maybe they'll answer.
Okay.
Do they have a bucket list location that they want to go to?
Oh, now they're thinking.
That's the whole idea. Hopefully the room doesn't catch on fire.
Haunted cruise.
My sister Katie wants to go on a haunted cruise. She's a cruise girl, but yeah.
Is there many boats that are still out there cruising that are haunted?
It's not the boat that's haunted. It takes you to haunted locations along the coast.
Oh, okay.
And San Diego, Old Town.
Okay. Because when you said haunted cruise, I was thinking the USS Constellation in Baltimore. I'm like, that boat hasn't moved in years, but
I was thinking like Captain Jack Sparrow and Black Pearl. And Melissa, do you have a haunted bucket list?
Well, the top of mind is Waverly.
Waverly for Melissa. It's accessible, right?
Somewhat.
Yeah,
it's 100 of your closest friends. Yeah,
that's the problem with that. And when they went to the penitentiary, it was just so many people. The Missouri State Penitentiary, so many people.
Yeah, but did you get to go before the flood and the tornado?
Yeah.
Well, at least you got to go then.
Yeah.
Did you guys get to go before they cleaned up all the asbestos and all the mold?
No, right.
No.
Okay. We got to go before that and after that. But it was better before the mold cleanup. There, maybe because we were hallucinating, I don't know. But
the mold was making you see spirits.
I don't know. But we had the best tour guides ever. Because our tour guides were Maggie and Thomas.
Oh, okay.
So and Maggie and Thomas are always on TV with the shows, and but I met Maggie before she was ever on any of those shows.
Awesome.
So, and
I really wanted to drag my team down to the Garnett House and Hotel.
Yeah, we were just We were just by there yesterday.
I saw your picture of the church.
Yeah, well, when we stopped in Garnett and got ice cream, and Rob's thing said that he was there, but that was that was on Saturday.
Yeah.
And because he has Sprint and I have Sprint, it was showing me that it was an hour before, but it was a day and an hour before.
Oh, man.
So we've been in the Garnett house with David and Dan, at PRI.
Yeah.
And we've been in there, but we weren't there to investigate. We were just there to meet up and hobnob with our friends. And because we don't live far.
Yeah. Yep.
We're just down the road. So, but it looks like Rob's doing some work. He's been scratching paint off the house and stuff. And I don't know if Justin Spurrier still owns part of the Garnett house.
I don't know. We maybe need to have Rob Garcia on one of your shows.
I was talking to Ron about that. I said I need to have Rob on again. I haven't had him on in a while, and it's hard to catch Justin now that he's traveling with Ghost Adventures.
Yeah.
And now that he lives in Summerlin, Nevada.
Yep.
Yeah, he lives. Actually, some of his pictures are driving right by where my daughter lives. So it's like,
cool.
I know where you're at. And he's like, how do you know? And he's like, oh, that's right. You know. So, but everyone, I'd like to thank you guys, Cassie, and your cohorts there for being on the show tonight. And next time, hopefully, when I ask, they'll want to be on too. Now that they've seen how easy this is. I'd like to thank you guys so much for being on, and I've had a great time.
Yeah.
And I hope you guys will listen next week when I have on Amelia Cotter. And when she's going to be on, she's going to be talking about her time on, what show is it again? I taped it last week to watch. It's, I think it's My Horror Story. No, Haunted Hometown.
Oh, cool.
Hometown Horror. That's it. Hometown Horror. She's on that. And we're going to be talking about that. And she wrote a book about haunted Maryland. So she's a Maryland girl just like me, but she's living in Chicago doing the haunted tours with Ursula Bilski. So she's got a whole lot of things that she can share. And then she's also on what is it? Amazon. She has a couple shows on Amazon. So that should be a lot of things to talk about. And it'll be my last show for 2019. So hopefully you guys will be able to listen in and provide some feedback to me. So, I suck. Oh, that's what I was just told. Ron's making faces at me. So you guys all have a great night. And you're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. And we'll see you all next Monday.
Warning, the following message does not necessarily reflect the views of WBHM-DB or its hosts, guests, listeners, or of any functioning adult in general. In fact, Frank should probably seek professional help. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi there, Frank Lee here. I thought that I would spend a few moments telling you about the positivity from the network here. The overall message of para-unity and happiness, and how everyone here wants to get along with everyone out there, and how everything is just wonderful. Wait, Cat's not looking. Okay, I've got something to really tell you. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what's really going on. Honestly, all that being nice and positive crap was kind of hurting my soul, as dark as it is. So, what's really happening? Well, you see it all the time. Everybody and their brother out there has a paranormal team because they watched a couple of episodes of Ghost Hunters or some crap like that. So they go and they spend half their mortgage payment on tools and things that light up that they don't understand. And then the next logical step after buying matching black t-shirts and posing like 90s rappers for their Facebook page is to, of course, have their own podcast. Well, you know what? You're not going to find that crap here. What we have here at WBHM Digital Broadcasting is the best host, the best guest, bringing you real information. All of the hosts here on this network know their stuff. They are the people who have been out there doing the work, doing actual research. And no, by research, I don't mean binge watching some kind of cheesy TV show on Netflix. I mean reading books. I mean out in the field doing the legwork. And who are they interviewing on their shows? They're bringing you the people they have learned from. They're bringing you the best in the field, covering all kinds of topics from UFOs and aliens to Bigfoot to cryptozoology to ghosts to anything you can think of, a bit strange and unexplained. It is here, and you're going to get the best information here. So stay tuned to WBHM Digital Broadcasting. Don't go anywhere. Speaking of going somewhere, I've got to go before my mic gets cut. We'll see you there on WBHM-DB.